and welcome to another one of my videos. How are we all today? I hope that you are doing well, and if you're not, I really hope that the day gets better for you. So today I am going to talk about my PEG recovery. This is a follow-on from my previous video about my PEG experience and what the operation was like. So let's get started, shall we? So the day after the operation, I was nil by mouth for 24 hours. Being a diabetic, this is not great. So they had me hooked up to fluids and also a glucose drip just to make sure that my sugars remained stable and that, you know, I wasn't going to be having any hypos and things of that nature. To be honest, not eating was not that bad because I was so sore. It really was the last thing on my mind. The biggest thing I wanted to do was just drink a huge bottle of water, but I wasn't even allowed to do that. Throughout the day, you are pretty closely monitored. Obviously, being that you've had an operation, they want to make sure that you're okay, that you're stable, and you're mentally doing okay with it all, because the pain can be very intense. My nursing team were absolutely amazing, and they could not have done enough for me. Now, moving was near on impossible, because obviously they have just cut through your stomach muscles, and I didn't realise how much you actually use your stomach muscles for. Now, before the operation, they gave me a few tips and tricks on how to help my recovery and things I could do that would help with the coughing, because sadly CF does not take a break with the coughing, and even after, you know, your stomach muscles have been sliced and diced, it still continues to make you do that, and that really hurts. And the other tips and tricks were just things that I could probably expect to happen. But I wish that there was two things that they had told me. The first being is that they said that the first 24 hours would be the most painful. I do not believe this to be true. In my opinion and my experience, the first 3 days were not good. They were agony, if I'm honest. And full recovery probably took me around a month total to be back to my normal self. And the second thing that I wish they had told me, your PEG pops. It pops. Now, when I say it pops, what happens is when you're hungry, when your tummy rumbles, that is all your stomach muscles contracting. Now, when you have a PEG fitted and there is a tube on the inside of your stomach, what it decides to do is it pulls on the tube when you have a stomach contraction. This hurts. It hurts. And then at some point it will let go and your PEG will pop. And it always weirds me out a bit because I just envision my stomach having tiny little muscle hands on the inside that just suddenly grab my tube, have a good feel and play around with it, and then let go when it slips out of their hands. Creeps me out a bit, but that's what I see in my head. And the pain when this happens is intense. It's very intense. It does not feel good. And not only that, you can see it happen. So when your stomach rumbles and you look at your PEG, you actually see it get like pulled in tight against your skin, and then after, say, about probably only 30 seconds, but it felt like hours, dramatic, it will just let go and it will pop back out again. It's the weirdest thing to see. It's so bizarre. Even now, it still does it, but it doesn't hurt anymore. It's like really interesting, and it fascinates people. Every time it happens, I'm like, my PEG's gonna pop, and they can watch it go. It's like the tiny little muscle hands going, ooh, what the fuck is this? Ooh, giving it a good pull and a feel, and then they go, oh no, it's slipping. So after the 24 hours of nil by mouth, although in the evening the next day you are allowed to take your tablets with a mouthful of water, no joke, that water was magic. It was magic. It tasted so good. I've never savoured water the way I savoured that mouthful. You know, it was beautiful. And then the next day they changed the dressing, and this is the first time that you get to see your peg. Now in the previous video I told you that the peg they were going to use on me was out of date, so they had to put one of the really long ones in. So this is the first time I saw it when they changed the dressing. It looks like an octopus tentacle hanging out of your stomach. It's strange. It's really strange, and I'm just like, I now have straight access to my tummy. I actually never ever ever have to pass fluids or food past my mouth ever again if I don't want to. I mean, really, when you think about it, that's actually ingenious. If I never ever wanted to eat and drink again, I could put it straight into my belly and not even know it was there. Now, it doesn't look that great the first time the dressing is taken off because you got your stitches and there's some dried blood and a big tentacle hanging out your belly, but it's in, and it's like, okay, on to the next chapter now, on to the next chapter of being able to maintain my weight, being able to look after myself better. That can't possibly be bad. The next step they do is they will flush it. They will flush it with, I think it was like 160 mils of water. This is sterilized water, not tap water. And they will make sure that it is working okay. It's kind of a very intense moment when they just attach the syringe and push the water in, because you know that if it's not working, this was all for naught. Nut? This was all for naught. And then they tell me that if this is all okay, you can eat. I was like, I can eat? I can actually eat? You can allow me to pass food? Thank you. You angel in a nurse's uniform. Thank you. So it flushed beautifully. And then they said to me, well, now you can have something to eat. But eat little and often. Do not binge. Do not gorge. Do not suddenly have a huge roast dinner, because your stomach is still inflamed. It is still just had an operation and a foreign object inserted into it. And I always remember my friend Michelle telling me, don't have soup. Because what happens with soup is you are having a lot of food and a lot of liquid in a small space of time. And the chances of you throwing it up are pretty big. And I was told, luckily I never experienced throwing up with a fresh peg, but I have been told by someone that you do not want to experience that because it hurts. So there's a top tip for you. Do not gorge. Little and often is going to be much kinder to your stomach. And then they said the most magical words to me in all the land. You can have a cup of tea if you want. I think if I could have cried at that moment, I would have. So my nurse made me a cup of tea, and oh my God, it's the best cup of tea I've ever tasted. I'm actually not even joking. It was milky and sugary and hot and beautiful, and it just, as it passed my lips and it went down my throat, I was like, oh, I found a unicorn. It's that magical. I found a unicorn being ridden by a mermaid. What? No joke. That tea sip was everything. Now, coughing with a newly fitted peg. Coughing, sadly, does not stop for the peg operation. It continues. And it hurts. A lot. Like, I know I'm telling you that a lot of stuff hurts in this video, but that's because it does. Like, the biggest and best tip I was given, right, is roll up a dressing gown or a towel or a blanket when you need to cough and hold it tightly just above your peg. Not on it, because it's still very tender and sore, so just hold it just above tightly. It will help to compress the muscles and stop them from moving too much. It'll still hurt, but it will be nowhere near as painful if you are to cough without it. But unfortunately with CF, there's no way around that. Thanks. Now, the full recovery took me around a month. It will probably be different for other people. You will have other people that heal quicker than that and people that heal slower. But for my personal experience, it was a month. But for that entire month, every movement will hurt. I'm not joking. I had no idea how much you used your stomach muscles for. Even lifting your arms above your belly button uses your stomach muscles. So I was like completely dependent on Lucas to help me move, to help me stand up, help me sit down, even to help me sit on the toilet. Everything. He had to help me. So when you have the op, you want to make sure that if you do or can have someone at home with you, please do. It will help so much. And if you're going to go it alone, you're a trooper, like literal trooper. I spent the majority of my recovery month going, ow, why did I do this? And crying. That was, why did I do this? This is torture. I wish I hadn't done this. Why did I do this? Ow. Tears and emotions and just being so annoyed with myself for putting myself through it. But now that I am perfectly healed, would I do it again? Absolutely. In a heartbeat. My peg has helped me so much. My weight is in such a better place now because of my peg. It will help you to maintain. It will help you to keep. It may not necessarily help you to be super healthy, but it will certainly help keep you above water. So if you are considering it, I honestly promise you it was the best decision I ever made. I couldn't recommend one enough. I mean, I personally think the entire human race should be fitting with one as babies because they're so clever. Like, if you really think about it, right now, there is a tube that goes into my stomach that keeps that hole open always. And if I have no appetite, stick it in the tube. If I don't want to drink, stick it in the tube. I mean, technically, you could blend an entire roast dinner and stick it in the tube. That's clever. That's so clever. Not to mention, a lot of people use them for medication as well. You know, if you need to take meds but you're really sicky and you're unwell and you can't do it, stick it in the tube, people. So the recovery is hard. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that it was the easiest recovery I've ever had, because I believe in being honest about experiences. I believe in telling the truth and letting people know how things really are, because then I think you can make a fully and proper informed decision to back up your choice. It was hard, but definitely worth it. Another thing that people forget to mention is granulation. What is this, you ask? So when you have a newly fitted wound into your stomach, what happens is it will try to heal. Even around the tube, it will try and heal. And what happens is you get an overgrowth of tissue that grows around the outside of the hole. This can hurt, it can bleed, and you sometimes will have to get it burnt off. Doesn't that hurt? Actually, no. I was really surprised at how simple and easy and pain-free getting it burnt off is. You don't feel it. You do not feel it. I think they do it with nitrous sticks or something like that, where you just get a nitrous stick and some sterilized water, you just dab the end of it and it will burn away the granulation. It's gross, but it works. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hoped that this helped, and I hope that a couple of those tips will help you. I will make another video on tips and tricks for taking care of your peg, because this is one thing that people don't understand. You cannot just have it fitted and not look after it. You have to take care of it. You have to flush it, you have to clean it, you have to twist it, you have to look after it. It's not there and then it's there and done. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe so that you can keep up to date with me. And remember, be brave, be amazing, be you, and keep shining. All my love.